What's going on, guys? Just getting set up here. Feel free to say hi, where you're from. Let's get some thumbs up to get this thing going. Green Mountain, welcome back. Turning down the TV in the hotel room. Hopefully you guys got a bunch of questions. We've been doing pretty good having people participate and ask a bunch of questions. I just over the weekend started working on a new video, so I'm pretty excited about it. We are building a blast room to upgrade our blasting capabilities. So we're going to be doing a video on the build. We're making it 100% custom. We bought about 1,000 pounds worth of sheet metal, some tubing, some 5x10 14 gauge steel. The road's okay. I'm about 5.5 hours from home. I drove 5.5 hours today to talk to a customer for an hour, but it will probably result in like a $10,000 to $15,000 order, so not too bad of a day. That's on the liquid side. They do trailer axles for like semis and stuff, so they do liquid painting, and we sold them a booth, some guns and whatnot. Yeah, I wish that all that money came to me. It would be well worth it. So, but yeah, the blast room we're building out of 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch tubing, and then we're building the frame. I've got a brand new Miller-Matic 255 welder, and it's insane how nice it is. I absolutely love it. When you've only welded with like a flux core welder before, it's a game changer. It's like going from a China gun to a Gema gun. So, hey, Reed's Fab. I could probably pick your brain today. I was just telling everyone about the booth or the sandblasting booth we're building out of steel. I'm going to have to check your page out. But yeah, we're pretty excited. We're going to put some lights in it, and we're getting our plasma table on Friday. So we're going to be able to cut the light openings perfectly in the panels, and then we'll be able to cut the holes for our ductwork to get our dust collector set up and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited for that blast room to be done. I'm excited for our table to show up. We're going to start doing a bunch of custom stuff for people with the table and powder coating that. We'll probably do some signs, which that doesn't excite me too much. I'm sure if you guys have powder coated, you've done plenty of those steel signs. So we got about 5 or so of you on here. Any questions or anything? What's been going on this week? Got my cold drink. You guys are awful quiet. Chris, I got a Boss table. It was not cheap by any means. It's a little over 20 grand. They're a company up in Decorah. 8? Wow. All right. Reed's has been powder or plasma cutting for 14 years. Yeah, so I know nothing about it other than watching some videos online. The reason I went with Boss tables, they're in Decorah, Iowa. It's about 4.5 hours from my shop. So we're going up Thursday night. My newest employee actually grew up in the area, so we're gonna go up there and he gets to show us his local watering hole. But we're gonna go up there. We're gonna spend a day at his shop, and we're gonna go over how to use the table, how to work the software, and all that kind of stuff. And my newest hire, he's pretty quick at picking up computer stuff. So he's designed a bunch of websites and stuff like that. I hate computers, so I can function with a computer. I'm just not great at it. So, but the reason I picked his table is it had all the features that a lot of the other bigger name brands had. But he also had a water table that's set up so you can drain it and fill it and adjust the level all pneumatically. So, or I don't know if it's pneumatic, but all through a controller. So I'm pretty excited about that feature on it. It'll make cleaning it out easier, or getting parts if they drop in there easier. But yeah, it's a 5x10 table. So and I've got the Hypertherm 85. So I think we can cut up to like 3/4 inch plate, which is going to be, I hope I don't ever have to, because I started looking at the weights of this stuff, and I think it's over 1,000 pounds for that stuff. Reed's Fab, you might know, but yeah, we did the water table. I just didn't want to deal with downdraft and all that kind of stuff. So we built a room in my shop to keep it out of the elements, like the acid that's in the air from our B17. So we built a room. We're going to air condition it, and then we're going to put a vent in the ceiling to pull, because you'll have some fumes from cutting even with the water table. So we'll pull the fumes out and get them out of the shop. Daniel H, no questions right now. I mostly cut 3/8 and under. Yeah, so that's kind of what I figured, but for the price difference, I was like, let's just get the 85, and that way, no matter what, we're going to be able to help people out. So my dream would be to find a part that we can just produce, or a bunch of parts, and then powder coat them and sell them. So if you guys got some ideas, let me know. Basically, with a table like that, you're limited by your imagination. So I got to start getting creative. Reed's Fab, do you have your own shop? Is it your own business? Yep, 65. That seems to be a pretty popular torch. But unfortunately, if you follow me just for powder coating, you're going to see a lot of, yes, it's a side hustle. Yep. So a lot of powder coaters start as a side hustle. And then you start telling people you powder coat, and their first question is, how big is your oven? And the bigger your oven is, the more business you're going to get. So miss powder coating all the time. Oh, Green Mountain. I was just saying, if you're on my channel just to see powder coating or learn powder coating, we're still going to do it. But we're also going to be doing other stuff. So we're going to do, like, my video I'm recording right now is building the blast cabinet. So we show you that. It's probably going to be like a 2 or 3 part series, because I have a lot of video. I mean, I probably already have 3 hours, and all we've done is the framing on 3 walls. So welcome, Dale from Australia. But yeah, so we're gonna do some plasma stuff. We're gonna do some custom parts. I've been in the talks with a couple different people about doing some videos for their products. I don't want to really say who or what, just in case it doesn't work out, but we might be getting into some more like specifics on different types of powder and how they hold up and all that kind of stuff, which I think would be good, because a lot of people, they don't even know what powder, they just buy a powder because the color's right. Any experience using prismatic powders, black super grip? I do not. I assume you're talking about like the textured stuff that's got like a grainy texture in it. I was actually weird. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was wondering if you could do like a black powder and sprinkle like a grit, like a sand or like a blasting material in it, and have it bake into the powder and have it give you that grip. That might be a video idea, so we might have to try that out. You making the cabinet from scratch with your table or pre-bought? So the blast, it's actually gonna be a blast room that we're making. It's gonna be 9 foot tall, 10 foot wide, 10 foot deep. What we're doing with the table is we're gonna do like the cutouts for the lights, and then we're gonna do like the duct work for the dust collector and stuff with the table. That way we can get used to our table without messing up someone else or another person's part. It has texture that has a rubbery type, yeah, of fill. My guess, I don't know what they're charging for it, but if you figure out the media that they're introducing into the powder, that's all they're doing is they're just mixing it with one of their blacks, I'm guessing, and having it bake in there. Green Mountain Media says that he did that and it worked with caveman black and aluminum oxide. Yeah, so I figured someone had tried it, but yeah, why spend the extra money just to have a textured powder? Did it hold up pretty good? Did you put it through some paces, Green Mountain? That would be my question. Like if you sprinkled it in or mixed it in with that powder and then shot it, if it would hold up or not. Yeah, he says it's still working, so that's good. If you guys haven't yet, give me that thumbs up. It kind of helps us get some more viewers on. Makes people think that I'm worth watching. Been a year. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna have to do it. Hey, thank you. I'm gonna have to try it. I think that'd be a cool video, like if you're doing like anywhere where you would step, just putting that texture in there. We did one of those carts that people roll up for, or like not car wash, gas stations for like semi trucks. So you get on the ladder and you get up, you can wash your windows. We did one of those in a Bedliner. I don't know if I posted the video because I wasn't really happy with it, but I can't remember. I'll have to look through. We do so many videos, I just don't even know. Total Surface Prep, welcome. We've only been going for how long? 13 minutes, so you're good. If you got any questions, just shout, or you can't shout, but just type them out. We'll get to you. The only thing I'm still trying to figure out with my blast room is how I'm going to protect the steel, so we're probably going to end up doing like a liquid paint on it just because it's too big to run through my oven, and it's probably going to weigh 1,200 pounds when it's all done, so we got to keep it from rusting out in our environment. But it'll be nice to have a large blast room. We're going to make sure it's pretty tight as far as keeping the dust out of the shop, and we're actually going to plumb the dust collections part of it outside through the wall into another room that we're going to build on the outside just to keep it from being in our shop, because we get so much dust everywhere with the blast cabinet, because when you open it up the cloud comes out and it's just a mess. It goes everywhere. It covers all your tools and equipment. So we're up to about 11 of you guys. Any questions or anything? Chris asked, what kind of blast pot will you be using in the new room? How many different models have you tried? We haven't really tried a lot. I bought like maybe a 1.5 or a half a cubic blast pot, and it worked fine. It's just we never had a room to spray it in. I actually went with a Titan blaster. It's a 3 cubic foot blast pot. So I think that means it holds 300 pounds of media. It's got like 2-inch air input to it, which is crazy. And then we did a 1/4-inch nozzle on it. So I'm hoping, I based the nozzle size off our compressor. So I'm hoping it's enough. If not, we're gonna have to buy like either a rotary or a bigger diesel. Can you powder coat over hydro dipped graphics instead of 2K clear? I don't know. I've never done it, but I would be really, really scared to put the film through the oven at that temperature. Um, and usually, what I tell people, if I've never done it and you've never done it, you don't know anyone that's done it, do a small test piece, just a small piece of metal, dip it, dry it, put your powder on, put it through the oven, see what happens. Because I honestly, I've done a little hydro dipping, but I always used liquid clear. Kyle asked, what kind of marketing do you do for your business to get more jobs? That's a good question. So obviously Facebook is huge. We do a lot of marketing on there. Most people in our area spread the word. We're kind of known for wheels, so a lot of people tell their friends about wheels. We went into dealerships and we said, hey, we powder coat wheels. We can take this and make it look like this. We try to teach the sales team that they can market that, or they can use that as a selling tool to their customers, because a lot of times if you upgrade your wheels to like gloss black on the factory, they're going to charge you another like $1,500 or more just to get that blackout package. And so we're usually dealer pricing, we're usually around 125 and up. And we come pick up the car, we bring it back, we do a lot. So a lot of our marketing is done in person, face to face, or through Facebook. You also can't be afraid to just find manufacturing companies and call them and say, hey, how do you guys paint your parts? I own a small powder coating business. Our oven's this big. We can help you out, that sort of thing. Just be ready to answer those questions like whether you have insurance or not, if you pre-treat, how you pre-treat, what kind of products you use, do you use primers? So a lot of those guys that have had experience, they're gonna ask for that kind of stuff. They're gonna ask you to possibly do a sample for them. If they're big companies like John Deere, you're gonna go through a bunch of testing. So we try and stay away from those guys because we just don't have the manpower to dedicate to a big facility like that. And a lot of the powder coaters that are doing those have big staffs and they've been doing it and they've been certified before. We've got one company we do some cab panels for that go inside research combines, and we did a test set of panels for them, and like a month later we hadn't heard back, and I'm like, they're not using us obviously. And then he gave us a call, and it turns out they were just doing all the tests behind the scenes, and I didn't even know they were doing it. So they were happy with it, so we picked them up. It's not a big account. We do like maybe 6 sets a year, so it's nothing. It's hardly any money at all. But yeah, you just cold call, tell everyone you know that you powder coat, and I wouldn't spend a ton of money. Facebook, we'll run ads. Like I'll do a 10-day ad for $50, but usually we'll get a job or two out of that. So it depends on what the job is. Usually it's a set of wheels. We don't break down calipers or anything like that because I don't want the liability. So I think we lose a lot of that business to people that are willing to break them down. Reed's Fast says, I know there were a lot of questions on the last Q&A about Colo powder coating equipment. Seems they are a large powder coating equipment manufacturer in China. Anyone have any experience with Colo? I don't, so if you guys do, feel free to chime in. I know a lot of people use their guns. Chris says, Columbia offers a sublimation clear. It cures at a lower temperature than the regular clear, and he's gonna give it a shot. Finally start using my hydro dipping setup. I would rather use powder clear. Yeah, I get that. It's easier to apply it right, powder is. So Green Mountain, you ordered a Colo system? Is that what you're saying? I forgot who it was, but from the first Q&A, there was a guy talking about building his own powder coating guns. and he sent me the information on it. It says, "Yep, custom from the X1 base system." So what's so custom about it? What are they doing to make it custom? So I got a question for the small business working from home. When to make the jump to a shop space? Have you? Um, when did you? I guess is what he's asking. So when I started powder coating, I already had my rim right business where we actually fix the wheels. So I have a small shop at home. It's like 750 square feet, just an extra garage, detached. And I started building my oven like January 1st. Was it like 2016 or something like that? And after I got it kind of built and upright, I'm like, man, this isn't going to work in here. So we started looking for a shop right away. And basically, it's just figuring out how much you can afford monthly with what you're doing right now. Don't forecast into the future on how much you're going to make because it's not a guarantee. So we rented a 800 square foot shop with like 16-foot tall ceilings. It was basically just like a storage area, but it had electrical. um, so we rented that. It was like $450, so super super cheap. And we were there for like a year and a half, and we just kept upgrading our equipment and buying new equipment and putting it in the shop. And then we got to the point where I had to do something because we were out of room. We needed a bigger oven. We needed to build to get a booth because we were just spraying out in the open. And it ended up, I started quoting prices to have like a shop built and buy land, but the taxes in the town we were in were super expensive. And I was scoping through Craigslist looking for business buildings for sale, commercial, because you got to be in like the right zoning for powder coating. And we came across a fire station that was for sale in a small town of like 400 people. And the one key was that the back wall, it's a pole barn, so pole or wood structure with metal on it. It's fully insulated, heated, electrical, all that stuff. But the back wall, you could literally walk up to it and push it and see outside because it had termite damage through like three of the posts all the way up. So we it's a 4,400 square foot building, and we basically stole it because they didn't want to fix it. They had already started building their new place, and they just wanted out of it. So we lowballed the hell out of the city because the city owned it, and they rejected it. And I said, okay, sit on it. So they sat on it for 2 months, and then I ended up making a little bit bigger of a bid, and they took it. So we got the thing for super cheap, and then put about another $40,000 in repairs, and we did all the work ourselves. So that's just materials. We had to basically gut and redo about a third of it. So there's good bargains out there if you're willing to do some work on them. For a small business working from home, UKC builds his guns now. Okay. Are you building a bigger blast cabinet and compressor to get away from the chemical stripper? And what compressor are you looking to buy? So right now we have a Eaton Polar Air 85 CFM 25 horse compressor. I don't want to upgrade right now because to upgrade would be very expensive. Um, so I'm building the room so that we can do big things. We got the big blaster with you got your hood and your vest and all that. Excuse me. We just want to be able to do bigger items than we can fit right now. All of our big stuff we're having to sublet out because our cabinet's like 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot. So anything bigger than that or hard to rotate, we have to farm out to another guy. And I'm tired of waiting on him. I'm tired of how inconsistent some of that stuff is based on who happened to be blasting that day. So we just kind of want to take it into our own hands and have our people do it so that it's a little bit better. And so I sized the nozzle. The guy I bought the pot from sent me a chart, and he goes, "Here's how you decide what CFM you need." So based on the nozzle side, we need like 65 CFM at like 60 psi. So we should be good. My only concern is coming out of our dryer, we're at like 3/4 inch air tubing. We got to go up to like 2 inch tubing into the blast pot. So I'm hoping we don't lose too much volume making the transition. So I think we'll be okay on the air compressor for now. It's going to run a little more than it does, but we need a bigger shop before we upgrade our air compressor. And it's not necessarily to get away from the chemicals. I would love to though, because I hate them. And I think you'll always kind of need them for the European wheels that have that really thick black powder on it from Europe. Blasting will work. It just takes forever, and you can also start eating away at the rim and causing waves and stuff like that when you're sandblasting. A lot of guys who try and do chrome, they learn that the hard way. They're like, oh, you can blast it off if you just fight through it. The problem is that media will start eating into the aluminum, and then you just kind of ruin the profile of the wheel, and then you're buying a set of wheels. So we don't want to get too crazy. I try and keep my air pressures down quite a bit. So it should be, I don't know, I'm excited for it. It's a big room. I'm hoping we get the right amount of lights in it and all that kind of stuff. So what else is going on there, guys? Did any of you guys see the video? There's a guy, I don't even know, he powder coated a part, but he dipped it, or he sprayed it with WD-40 first. And then he like sprinkled out of a shaker, he sprinkled black powder on it and then cooked it. It's on YouTube somewhere. I don't remember the name of it. Yeah, it was a gun part. And I'm like, no, what are you doing? Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. Yeah, it looked horrible. And he admitted it. He said it doesn't look good. I can't, there's no way it's going to hold up. There's just no way. There's got to be like a film layer that it just sat right on top of that it's going to just delaminate. We were doing a farm sign. I was going to take a video on it, but we failed at it like 6 times. The guy, he wants 3 different colors all in one sign, and it's like his initials, a cow, and grass, and he wants a grass green, his initials blue, and the cow white. And I was trying to let my new guy do it, and my brother, and they were leaving the tape on too long because the sign's so skinny. You put it in the oven, it heats up really quick. Well, it melts the adhesive and it ruins the coating that's under there. So when we do it with like motorcycles or vinyl pulls, the metal's so thick it takes a while for it to heat up. So we never burn the vinyl or burn the tape on, and they were not having a good time. I think we redid it like 5 times before we finally got it. What are some of the more difficult parts you've had to hang to powder coats? Anything without a hole in it. You got to get pretty creative. Heavy stuff. We had a bench that was like probably 500 to 600 pounds, and we got it into the oven thinking our hooks were big enough for them, and like 15-20 minutes later you just hear it on the floor. So you open up the oven and it's laying there on the floor, and you're like, so anything without a hole sucks. Tubes kind of suck. They make clamps or hooks that go in and pinch, but they have to be able to support the weight, and I don't have any of them. So we usually just run wire through them and then try and make a big loop, because where the hole is and the wire comes out, you don't want it to touch. So I try and bring the wire straight out and then bend it up, kind of like a coat hanger. So some of that stuff's kind of difficult. I think sometimes if you just have to look at it and like go, okay, how the hell am I going to do this? And just sit there and think about it. Prismatic powder says you shouldn't hot flock parts. Can you? Yes, you can hot flock parts. Some of the powder coating snobs will tell you to never do it, and that if you're doing it, it's because you don't know what you're doing, and you don't know how to do your ground, and you don't know how to do this, and you don't know how to do that. I'm not a snob. I don't care. If you hot flock, you just have to be super freaking careful to not overdo it, because it's very easy. That powder, the minute it hits, it's melting. So it's absorbing a lot more of the cloud than it would if it was just a charge, and it's allowing it to stick. Whereas when you're a cold part and you're spraying it, not all that powder will stick, and some of it will slide off anyways. So when you're hot flocking, it's very easy to build up really thick mills and then have it run. So you just got to be careful. I wouldn't, if you can do without hot flocking, you should. I would never tell you to powder coat by hot flock only. Will you be doing any videos on fixing curb rash on wheels before coating them in the future? I've done some before paint. It's not much of a different process, but yeah, we can do one for you. We just, I should have done that. We got a Mercedes in, and it's like they just found a rock and just ran their whole wheel, the spokes on every single one, the whole face of the wheel was just garbage. But basically, there's two methods. You can either aluminum TIG weld in the deep gouges, or you're basically just sanding out the damage and smoothing it out. It depends how deep the damage is. If it's not very deep, we'll feather it out and go from there. You're not going to lose too much weight on the wheel, and when you rebalance it, you're going to be fine anyways. But yeah, if you're having to pull out the grinder and all that, you may want to get it filled in with some TIG, aluminum filler. What's your experience with Cerakote ceramic coatings? We do quite a bit of it. We just did a gun part for a guy, like a little bracket that goes on top of a gun to hold a scope. I prefer the oven cure stuff over the air cure. It's way less smelly. But we do a lot of headers, which I don't think I've ever posted a video. Usually they're about $250 to do a set of headers, long tube. We do a lot of like race car headers, stuff like that. We've done some gun parts. I will not pull apart the guns. So we've got a guy we work with that, I forget, you gotta have like a license or something or be certified to handle the guns, and we don't want any of that drama. But if you bring me a part here and a part there, we're usually pretty good. But it's cool. We've done some guns. We've done pistons. They make a top coat for pistons, which is supposed to help with the heat and detonation and stuff like that. We've done that. It's good stuff, and Cerakote from Prismatic is good stuff. So hello, Sean. How you doing today? Guns flow license. I assume you mean they need a license. I don't know what flow license. There you go. FFL. Yep. Yep. Yeah, we don't mess with it. We'll paint them, but we won't take them apart and rebuild them. We just don't want to deal with it. But it's pretty simple. I mean, if you can, you can actually buy a whole kit from them. It's not that bad. I mean, the stuff in general is a little more expensive, but you charge accordingly and you're fine. I think we bought like a quart of it for 60, 70, 80 bucks or something like that just recently. I'm looking to coat some still parts with a brushed finish with some different candy translucent powders. Not really. I mean, anything you would normally do to prep a part, is basically what you want to do, and you're just putting a transparent over it. I assume you're going to put the brush look into it, and then when you're done with that, just make sure you clean it really well. And when you wipe it down, don't use a rag with a lint or anything like that, and then make sure you blow it off really good. You may want to flash it real quick in the oven, get it up to temperature, and let it bake off, and then let it cool, and then put your candy on. It's probably not necessary on steel to outgas it real fast, but it's minutes to save you hours. So, but yeah, no, when you do that, that'll look pretty cool. We've done some signs like that. Some of the cutout metal signs will put like a swirl finish in it and then clear it, and it looks kind of cool with the different candy colors. If you're a fabricator, I mean, powder coating is perfect for the fabrication industry. So that's kind of part of the reason we got the table. We do so many random miscellaneous parts for people that are cut off of a plasma table. It's like, man, we should just get one and we can do a full service deal. Not that we want to take away from those guys, but it's nice to just be able to offer everything too. So there's a guy on here somewhere, I don't remember his channel name, but he does a lot of like business signs, and I thought that'd be kind of cool to do. You kind of layer them with your solid sheet and then the cutout sheet and do them two different colors, and you can put lights behind them and stuff. So Sean asked if you'd have difficulties coating stainless steel window trim. No, you shouldn't. It's just prep it and paint it. I've got a 78 Corvette that I took my trim off of the windows, and we're gonna take them to a flat black. So I'll be doing the same thing probably in a year or so. I'm painting the whole car, so it's gonna take a while because we gotta sand the original paint off, which is just horrendous. It's not a good time at all. When are you going to show off the CNC? So we pick up the CNC on Friday. So I'm super excited. We're going up Thursday night. We're going to pick it up. It depends, Sean. He asked what prep is needed. So if you powder coat, it's basically the same steps as any other powder coating setup. If you're going to sandblast it, just do it lightly depending upon how thick that trim is. Usually it's pretty thin, so crank your PSI down, hit it at like 40, 50 with some distance, and if it's putting a good profile in it, you're good. If not, adjust from there. But I would think just sandblasting it would be fine. I'd clean it, dry it, sandblast it, coat it. So I've done a few polish exhaust tips. I use fine steel wool, and I can still the swirl marks under the see the swirl marks under the translucent color. Have you done translucent colors over polished aluminum? I don't think I have over polished. We've done clear coat over polished aluminum, which would be the same thing. We basically just use like a degreaser that you would use for like automotive paint. You can buy it like a quart at any store, like Napa probably has it too. Just a degreaser, let it dry, blow it off. I always like to outgas it for a little bit just to make sure anything that might have went in the small tiny pores in aluminum is baked out, and then just apply it and you'll be good to go. Any experience with the company Dustless Blasting? I don't, but they are one of the top names in the dustless blasting industry. With that being said, if you get on Craigslist or the marketplace, they're also one of the most found used setups you can find. So I think a lot of people, they push the start your own business model pretty hard. So I think a lot of people think they'll buy it and there'll just be a million blasting jobs for them, and it doesn't work out that way, and they end up selling it. It's a scary, unless you have something to blast for your own purpose, it's really hard to be successful in a mobile blasting setup. It's not impossible, it's just really hard. You got to be like any business. I mean, the more work you put up front, the more you go out and market and knock on doors and all that kind of good stuff, the more business you're going to get. And the more you spread your name around, like we don't really advertise a whole lot because once you've done it enough, people are out there spreading it for you. So where'd you get that done? Oh, da da da. He powder coats up here. So word of mouth is a big deal. Treat your customers right. Be fair. If you mess something up, fix it. Don't send it out the door. You only have one shot with most people. If you send them a piece of crap product, they're just gonna walk away. They won't tell you. They'll just walk away and they won't ever recommend you. And then they'll badmouth you behind your back. Yeah, those dustless blasting systems are expensive. I think I saw a used trailer setup for like 40 grand and it was used. It's like, holy crap. If you're looking for like a just getting a blasting setup, there's better ways to put it together. I think there's a ton of blast companies out there. Titan, I just thought that they had a really nice looking product. Their website's pretty well put together. They have reasonably priced units. They actually sell entire blast rooms with reclaim systems and all that. And they're not a huge company, it doesn't appear, but they look like they're pretty solid. So that'll be in my next video. I kind of show that off as we're building the blast room. It's one of my introductions. We show you my blast setup. The tank's huge. Well over, it's over 4 feet, I bet, tall. What else is going on? I might cut this one a little short tonight. I think I've answered all your questions. I'm gonna have to stop doing lives until some brand new techniques come out in powder coating and everyone's confused. It's kind of the nice thing about it. It's, you know, the technology and the guns get better and better piece by piece, but it's the same process. The prepping of the parts is the same. Granted, there's a million ways to prep them, but once you start figuring it out and you start seeing the same thing over and over again, you'll know exactly what's going on. We used to look at back ionization issues and be like, is this water or is this oil or what's going on here? I do use a dustless blaster. The whole business ready to go. Not true. You need to have a shop that needs one to survive. Yeah. Yep. It's hard. It's a hard gig to do the dustless blasting unless you're in the right area, because everyone's like, oh, I'll just do cars and frames and concrete walls and water towers, and it's the work. Just unless you're pounding the ground looking for business constantly, it's a tough go. But if you own a powder coating business, it goes hand in hand, or a painting business, or a fabrication business. If you can fabricate stuff and then blast it and take it to the painter, you're going to save a ton of money, because I don't know about you guys, but most of my charge is on the prep work. To actually put the powder on and cook it, not a big deal. That's why we charge $85 an hour to prep parts that have oil on them, because it's a pain in the butt. No, Praska boys, you don't need to powder coat the bolts. I'm assuming you spray bombed them based off your last video. If you guys want to see a funny video on an amateur powder coater, go click on Praska Boy's Garage, head over to his page. He took apart a small motor and powder coated the whole thing with an Arbor freight gun, including the head with all the fins. And I'm sure he'll tell you how much fun that was. With that gun and all that Faraday. He probably, you hot flocked that, right Right, Praska boys? Eastwood gun for the win. So yeah, if you guys don't have any other questions, I think I'll wrap it up. We're about 45 minutes in. We'll have to do one of these sometime when I'm at my shop and embarrass my brother because he hates being on camera. My new guy, he doesn't really care. He's got his own channel. He used to do well, he still does adult comedy / magic. So his nickname in the shop is Magic Man. Hot tip for starting out. If you're new, it's find some good educational material to learn. Stay off the Facebook forums because you're going to find some of them have really good information and some of them have really bad information. So I don't know, that's tough because you never know. You just assume they know what they're talking about, like you do me. I don't know what I'm talking about. There's books out there on powder coating you can buy. I think I did. If you go back to my very early videos, I may have to redo them because I was still pretty new then. There's a Powder Coating Institute book. It's like 1.5 to 2 inches thick of solid material. Anytime you have a problem, you can flip it open and figure out what's going on. The Eastwood book, if you're super new, for 20 bucks, that's a decent buy. It'll get you going. But yeah, just learn the right way to do everything and be patient when you're prepping parts, because the biggest hurdle to overcome is when you powder coat something, put it in, pull it out, and it's not how you expected it to look because you didn't prep it right. So like anything, the prep is 90% of the job and the coating's 10%. So the fun part doesn't last very long, but the prep work is what makes your finish the way it should be. So yep, I've seen unknown coatings. He got torn apart on I think it was Facebook. There were some people that had him do some work and they weren't happy with him, but I mean, I've watched his channel. He doesn't seem that bad. I don't know the guy, but he's done some cool stuff. He's probably the most similar to me as far as the channel setup goes. From Greece, welcome. That's insane. Technology. I can honestly say I've never talked to anyone from Greece before until today, so there's a bucket list item right there. Yeah, Dale, no problems. I mean, hot flocking, it is what it is. Some people, I've got customers that all they do is hot flock. They don't spray a part unless it's 300 degrees, and it baffles my, and they're using good equipment. They have Gema guns, so it's how they were taught, and that's just the way they do it. So to each their own. I think if you're producing, at the end of the day, if that product comes out and it's a good product, people should just let people be. So try to spread the positivity and the peace and just let people do it how they like to do it. Thank you, Benjamin. Yeah, we are really close to 2K subs. That's a big deal for us. It took, I think, 1.5 years to get to 1,000. So I am a professional in powder coating too. I am glad talking to you. Your videos are very helpful. I appreciate it, man. Hopefully we just keep getting better and better. Been told to start with a good gun. I'm sure Praska Boy's garage can attest to that. He's used the Eastwood gun, and then he came and used my Gema gun, and it's a big difference. So it depends on your budget. If you've got $6 grand, buy a Gema gun. If you don't, you're just gonna have to find the KCI gun I have. I'm gonna be honest with you, for $3 grand, it was a good gun. We actually are rebuilding it. We're putting new fittings, hoses, all the wearables. We're replacing all that. And we're going to use it as a backup gun, or we spray one of our customers. We do a lot of satin black. So rather than change out the Gema every single time, we'll probably just use the KCI gun. But I was on their website. I'm not even sure you can buy them anymore. It's a Korea gun. So I stayed away from China. In Australia, hard to pick. Yeah, I bet. Um, you probably get in Australia. Do you guys have you seen any of the Nordson or Wagner or Parker Ionics or any of that stuff? If you Google KCI powder coating, they have a website reads, and that's what I did. I think the place that's near me is out of Illinois, and they actually had really good customer service. We had something in the computer or the board, something or another, went bad. We sent it in. They had it fixed right away, back the next day. What you suggest for KV and microamps for a basic set of wheels? I'm using the Gema OptiFlex Pro. So number one, you have the best gun. Leave your KV alone. 100. Well, you won't even be able to touch them. Just go into the recoat mode. Or the Faraday mode. Second button on the presets. That's all you need. It'll do the rest. And I think it's at 100 kV and like 22 microamps. But when you're doing it, a lot of people don't think. Start powder coating, glance over at your unit, and you'll see the kV and the microamps adjusting based on the feedback the gun's sensing from the tip. So you shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. That's a really nice gun. Yep, way overpriced killer. Yeah, I bet they have some markup when they go out to Australia, huh? Scott Wilson says, thanks for sharing your videos with us. You've given me tips and pointers and confidence to get started. That's awesome, man. Like I tell everyone, just grab an Eastwood gun. It's like less than $200. You can be powder coating. And when you start on small stuff, it makes you feel better, and you can do them bigger. Faraday and hard to reach. It's just how you word it. Same thing. So it's like the little feature. I call it a Faraday. Some people call it a complex part or hard to reach. Basically, it's anything that has tight corners, or, it's just verbiage. But on wheels, that's but we don't mess with it, and we do 5 to 10 sets a week. So we just hit the Faraday button and coat away. We do hot flock wheels a little bit. We wait till they hit about 200 degrees, and then we start coating on your face. We'll do the face of the wheel on all four, and then we'll start doing the back side and the drum. And by the time you get to the back side on the fourth wheel, usually it's cool enough it's not melting anymore. And then we'll come back and just do a very light top coat just to make sure it's uniform on the face. I don't call it hot flocking because that's not our intent. Our intent's just not to wait another half hour for the wheel to get down to 100 degrees. Back ionization. Yes, if back ionization can be in very low kV. It depends on your gun. So if you have a gun where you can control the microamps, drop those microamps down. If it's just a kV gun, then you're gonna have to drop your kV because you have no other options. But the microamps control the kV, so you can only go so high. And if it's a good gun, it's gonna automatically bring them down anyways. So we always, like on the Opti Pro gun and the Opti 2 gun, you have a PCC mode. You can drop your microamps under 10, and basically you won't have any back ionization. And if you still have it, GEMA sells the corona ring that you put around it. It helps absorb some of the charge in the cloud, and you really won't have any back ionization. Since we've used that, I haven't had BI once, back ionization once. I had a customer, they do these panels for semi trailers. Just they like stack them in there as a wall, and they sanded it down, and he's handling it and touching it, and then he puts it through. It's a conveyor system. It runs to an automated gun that sprays it, and he kept getting back ionization, and we put that corona ring on that automatic gun, and it was gone. He's like, geez. So I mean, it's like $500, but over time, having to redo that part over and over again, they're going to make it up in weeks. Rework sucks. It's no fun. Of course, I say I'm going to get off, and then we jump up to like 16 people on here. Any other questions or anything? You think sucks is a funny word. I was with a customer. He does self-learning robots, I guess is what they call it. But they want to put the gun, the powder coating gun, on the attachment. And so you have a part come in, you grab, there's like a handle you attach, and it's got buttons to control the powder gun. And you push the start button when you want to start spraying, and then you walk around and you powder coat the part. And then you put it back and you let go, and it now remembers every movement. So the next part that comes in, it'll automatically spray that part. And they're selling these robots, and he met up with a guy from Europe, and he said it's just funny that they both speak like worldly English, I guess is what they call it, because it's English, but the meanings are different. And so he said they just laugh at each other all the time because they'll say words, and it's like, well, what does that mean to you? And it's just the way it transfers back and forth between different cultures is pretty funny. But those robots are cool. For $150,000, you can get one added to your lineup. Have you ever used Interpon powder? I have not. I just saw it for the first time at a customer recently, but I don't know anything about it. Do you recommend zinc primer for steel wheels before you color coat? Yes, I do. Zinc primer is a really good corrosion preventive primer, and then depending upon the primer, it goes down really smooth and it looks really good. I try anything that's going to take the abuse like a wheel takes with rocks and stuff. I would recommend it. Not everyone's willing to pay for it, and in fact, one of the guys that was just on here, we did some for a guy he knows, and they're chipping, and I looked at him, I'm like, yep, that's definitely rocks chipping the paint off. That we did about 2 years ago. So if we could, I'd like to prime them all, but they don't always want to pay the extra to have that done. What are the settings you used on the Opti Pro, air dosage and powder? So what's that? So the top line, I got a picture of the gun now. We are at a 30 and a 2.5. That's our 30 and 2.5 are their top settings, and then we work from there. So most of our colors we can spray from there. Some of our primers are heavier colors. That 2.5 will crank up to like 3, and then we just kind of go from there. Usually if you're at those two I'm going to do a video on air settings soon. So if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe, because I get this question a lot. And we go into a lot of places where they've got those things cranked up and the cloud is huge and they're wasting a lot of powder. Basically, the smaller the cloud you can get, it does a bunch of things. So one, it's less wear and tear on your parts. If you think of it like a sandblaster, you're pushing all that powder through the injector and the pump, and it's just going to wear them out quicker out of your tips and your nozzles. It's just a lot of force. It's a lot of abrasion. So the lower you can keep that air, the longer all your parts are going to last, and the more charge you're going to put on every little particle of powder. When it's a big cloud and it's coming out fast, it's really hard to charge all that powder. Yep, we'll do a video on settings. Settings are kind of tricky, so I always forget you have your total air and then your powder air, which is what carries the powder out, and then the second setting is a percentage of the first setting, and I have to sit there and look at it and think about it every time because I forget. So I got to re-educate myself on all that. And I'll do a video on what everything means and how to set it. And if you read your manual, it actually goes over their recommended settings, which are a little bit higher than mine, but I've worked with the GEMA rep just 2 weeks ago, and he's very much on the same page with the 3025 setting. So give that a try and see if it helps you. After zinc primer, he asked if it needs another primer. No, zinc primer and then do your top coat. Just follow the tech sheet on how far you cure that primer. I assume you said, I wish that Corona ring for guns was universal, but they're not. I assume you mean like different brands of guns. I've actually seen on Facebook where people will take a metal ring and then they'll put it into the ground clip on the GEMA gun. I don't know if all guns have that ground clip though. Yeah, I'm not very familiar with like Parker Ionics or Nordson or any of those guys, so because GEMA has a built-in bracket that goes to the ground of the gun. So you're basically using that rod as another grounding rod. It just helps absorb the charge in the air. But they charge a pretty penny for their little plastic metal engineered piece of brilliancy. I didn't even want to buy one, but after I use it, I'm like, oh, now I gotta buy it. It's pretty amazing. All right, well, if there's no other questions, I'm probably gonna call it a night. I appreciate all you guys stopping by again. We'll probably wait a little while before we do another one. As always, make sure to subscribe, give us that thumbs up, and hit that notification so you know when I'm going live. I get a lot of messages after the fact that they're mad that they didn't know. That's why I've been posting little quick videos telling people about it when they're coming up. So, right, what I should do is stop. So many people email me or ask questions in the video. I should just be like, hey, wait till the next live. That'll get more energy in the room. Is it right to top coat 2 times if you are low microns? I'm not 100% sure what you're asking there. You bet, Reeds Fab. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I saw the bracket on the gun and then asked them if their gun will fit my system. I like the emoji. I'm too old for dapping. I think that's what that is. I do it, it pisses my daughter off. She doesn't like it. You can top coat as much as you want. I'm not sure what you're asking there. Basically, the more layers you put on something, the more chances of back ionization you'll have because it kind of builds up in energy as you're coating it. So, yeah, no problem, man. Appreciate you joining us all the way from Greece. It's pretty neat for me. So, all right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. I will catch you guys on the next one. Again, make sure to subscribe. Give us a like if you haven't liked this video. And thank you for your participation.